My last fight, I got a good win. I had a tricky opponent. Took this fight on about 2.5 weeks notice. It was a new weight category as well. I dropped down to welterweight. I felt good in there. Do you know what I mean? I've been working a lot of things. It should have been a first round knockout. Do you know what I mean? I hit him with a clean right hand. It's landed about here. So he's gone, back of the head. But he tried getting up and he couldn't get up. He was dazed. I felt good at the weight mentally and physically. Hopefully, welterweight have some exciting nights ahead. I was told last night it'll be local, bit of normality. There'll be tickets available. So I'm looking forward to it. Something that people overlook, the atmosphere and the buzz and the motivation it gives you. I have a job to do, and that job shouldn't depend on anything other than me and him in the ring. I've done the hard work, so there should be no doubt. If anybody offered you silly money to fight YouTube, I don't care who he is, a fight, it's a fight. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, anybody else, KSI, mate, hit me up, bro.
Welcome back to the KultureKast podcast. We have a returning guest, professional boxer, Mr. Inder Bassi. How are you doing, brother?
I'm good, thank you. How you doing, bro? How you keeping?
I'm good. It's nice to have a little catch up. It's actually the first episode that we're doing, which is going to be more of a catch up episode. So if you are here to learn about your culture and upbringing and things, we covered that in the first episode, which is, I believe, episode number 6. So if you want to know a bit more about Inder, his upbringing, how he got into boxing, that was all covered back in that episode. And I was actually thinking just before we jumped onto this, you're the only person that's been on not once, not twice, but 3 times now.
No, third time now, yeah.
That's right. So because we did the Farmers Protest podcast as well. So
that's right.
Obviously that's still an ongoing issue. So I thought we could just maybe touch on that before we jump into the rest of it. If anybody still doesn't know, Farmers Protest is the largest protest in the world, and it's still going on.
I do think it'll carry on. I don't think the Modi government is going to take it back. It might be the last resort, but they'll probably lose. Well, I hope they lose the next election, and only then I think will they reboot those farmers' laws.
100%.
I don't think it'll happen anytime soon. I don't know. I hope it does, but just don't see it happening.
I think for my point of view, maybe they were hoping that the effort would have dwindled away by now, but obviously the elders that we have over there, and obviously some of the youngsters that are still going on strong over there.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously I think Modi thought, what, people are going to, like you said, they're going to die down. It's going to die down. People are going to forget about it. But he lost, I think it was Bihar, where that lady won.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember her name. The lady won the election, and that was like, Modi was there for 10 days. He's personally went there, done loads of massive rallies, and it's a big state with a lot of seats, and he put a lot of joy in there. He really tried hard to win that. I think it was Bihar, but don't quote me. Or UP or something. It was another state, not in Punjab, and he lost. Everyone was like, no, he's going to win. He spent all this money, these massive rallies, blah blah blah, and he lost. And I think that is hopefully a taste of what's going to come for him, because, like I said, a lot of people are against him. But then again, he's a strict right-wing Hindu. So obviously, India is a Hindu majority country, so you never really know. But wait and see, I guess.
This is the thing, though. It's when obviously all of this gets muddled up and tied into each other, which we talked about in the Farmers Protest podcast.
Becomes a religious thing when it's not
exactly. Yeah. When it's just about human rights, obviously we all know that farmers put blood, sweat, and tears into the work that they do, and obviously it ends up being food on our table. But we covered things like suicide rate, average income, and things in the previous podcast, which is and it was really good to get Dr. Sharadeep Singh on, because he was really informative on that side of things as well, and covered a lot. But as you say, it's been over, I think it passed 200 days in June. Now we're in September, so it's way over 200 days, over 500 deaths.
Year now, no?
Yeah, it's I think almost. So it's just not nice. And the thing that I actually thought was because it didn't sit right with me, and it happens all the time, but during the Olympics and during when India's hockey team were winning and the majority of them players are Sikh, and obviously turban wearing Sikhs,
Yeah.
When the farmers' protest was going on, it was like, look at these terrorists, these Sikh
Exactly.
terrorists. But then when the Olympics is going on, it's like, look at these national heroes.
It's mad
And
because sorry to interrupt you. It's like India is different from England and Canada and America. They use religion to benefit their own sort of personal agenda. And like I said, the matter is not religious, but they use religion to get their way. And that's what causes problems and fuels the fire. Farmers' protests got nothing to do with Sikh people, but they've made it as in it's a us versus them kind of thing, and that's what the Modi government is playing on for support. Do you know what I mean? But who knows, though?
Exactly. I mean, like as you say, it does happen everywhere. I think we've seen when after England got knocked out the Euros, and with the penalty, it becomes like a sport, and in race gets used as like a political thing afterwards, and it does happen all over the world. But it's one of them things that just doesn't sit right with
But do you know what it is?
me.
It's different in India. The media gets involved. So in here, you don't have BBC Sport or like, I don't know, whatever, something channel fueling the fire of black people. They support equality, obviously rightfully so. But in India, it's like the media only voices what the government wants them to voice, and that's a big problem.
Yeah, the corruption over there is fucking mental. Like obviously with Twitter and things like that as well. Like they were just banning
that's massively.
accounts. Yeah, anything that hashtag farmers protest, you just get banned account straight away. Jazzy B's account got suspended in India. You could see it, Jazzy B.
Oh yeah, Jazzy B, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's Rihanna, bro. Forget Jazzy B, Rihanna, bro.
Yeah,
she didn't get suspended, but mate, they was just talking about how she had links with Khalistan and whatever else. I don't even know.
It's crazy, but as we both said, we talked about it a lot more in detail, a lot more fact based on our farmers protest podcast. That was me, Inder Bassi, and Dr. Sharandeep Singh. So if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. But from the fight with the farmers protest, the fight in the ring that you had a couple of months ago.
And that was clever, that one. You waited for that all day.
I was like, yo, how am I gonna link this? But yeah, so a couple of months ago, you got back to winning ways.
Yeah,
against a very awkward opponent. If we skip past the first round, because I think the end of the first round, or like during the first round, there was a bit of controversy.
Yeah.
So if we come back to that a bit later on, but the rest of the fight, like you were looking, and obviously in the first round as well, looking very good.
Yeah. My last fight, I got a good win. I had a tricky opponent, but I felt good in there. Do you know what I mean? Because I had it was a new weight category as well. I dropped down to welterweight. I didn't make championship welterweight. Obviously, you don't have to make championship weight up unless it's the title fight. So I was only like a kilo over championship. So even then, it's not a lot. A kilo is nothing really. I took this fight on about. So I had a fight originally, it got cancelled, blah blah blah, and then I took this fight on about 2.5 weeks' notice. I was sitting there. He said, "You want to?" I said, "Yeah, go for it." Like I said, I was preparing for a previous fight that had got cancelled, but it got cancelled. So then I just got the phone call and I took this fight. I felt good in there. Do you know what I mean? I've been working a lot of things, and it was a bit unfortunate. In my one before the last fight, I lost. I had a 6th round. It was a tough fight. I felt like I learned so much from that fight. It was unbelievable. Like everyone says this as well, and I've lost in the amateurs, and I would say, people would always say it's not a loss, it's a lesson. I never understood what they meant. But that last fight I had, not last fight, one before, sorry, the one I lost, I honestly learned so much from it. It's unbelievable. I learned so much about myself, about my training, about everything. I learned so much, and lesson for me was a very, very tough, very cold lesson. But maybe I needed that lesson. You know what I mean? Maybe I took the fight too easy. Everyone's saying, "Oh, you're going to stop him, and then you're going to do this to him." I was massive. I don't remember I don't know if you watched the fight. I was really big for that for my fight. I looked like a bodybuilder in the ring. There's loads of things. I'm not saying it was one or wrong. This is what I lost, but like I said, it taught me so much. So I've been working in gym, and I had a good win. I had a good win. It would have been even better had I got the first round stoppage, because he's a very awkward opponent. You know, a month, 6 weeks before he fought me, he boxed on a Matchroom show, and he gave a good fight. It was a very, very, very close fight. It was 6 rounds. It went the distance, and it was not like he got completely outclassed. If you watch the fight on YouTube now, you're going to be, wow, this guy is good. He's beat a lot of young fighters, so he's not a guy who just comes to lose and goes for a walk. He's there, make it awkward, make it messy, try and nick the win. But I dealt with it well. I felt good at the weight, felt strong. You know, really, I know you said we'll talk about it in a minute, but it should have been a first round knockout. Do you know what I mean? It should have been over before the first bell even went. But
yeah, well, let's just jump into it. So basically, the first round, hit him with a left hook. He claimed it was behind the head, and
no, so it was like a left. It was like a left shot, and then it was a right hand. I hit him with a clean right hand, and obviously where he's ducking and bobbing and weaving and whatever he's doing, it's landed about here, which is completely legal. It's the things from here.
Yeah.
So it's landed about here, but that's completely legal. And the referee was a bit inexperienced, but my opponent was very experienced. So he's gone, back of the head immediately. You know, he thought fast, but he tried to get up and he couldn't get up. He was dazed. So the referee's gone, it warned me. But I was like, wait, that wasn't even, first of all, if it's intentional, I'm throwing these big hooks around the sides, around the back of the houses, it's understandable. But I was throwing straight shots. He just happened to dip low and it just landed. And really, my coach said he spoke to the officials after. He said, listen, he was dazed. He could have, the referee continue to fight. He could have got brain damage after that. You don't know.
I don't even think he was dazed. He was like fully. He tried to get up. He didn't even get up initially, exactly. And then when he did, he was wobbling back into his corner. He was more than dazed.
That's what I'm saying. And like, him aside, that would look really good on my record. Like I said, he's a good opponent. He's a tricky opponent. He doesn't get stopped. That would look really good first round knockout. But it's all could have, would have, should have been. It just wasn't meant to be. But like I said, I was happy with the win. I boxed well. Felt strong in there. So
can't complain. Do you think that the going down an extra weight category to welterweight, did you retain your strength? Because obviously,
yeah, definitely.
You did hurt him quite a few times. Do you feel like you were a bigger puncher at welterweight?
Definitely, because you know what it is? Every fighter in the world, apart from me, every fighter in the world loses weight and they kill themselves to lose weight.
Yeah.
Khabib sits in a sauna thing before like his weigh-in. Me, I when I was making light middle, because there's a catch rate, I didn't have to lose that weight. I would diet for like, when I say diet, I would just cut down portion sizes by a fraction and I would make weight easily. And that's not how it's meant to be. Mm-hmm. You're meant to kill your body a bit. You're meant to, not kill, should I say, meant to like put your body through some toughness so it makes you mentally stronger. Not only obviously are you strong physically because you're heavier, you're big at the weight, but mentally you've dieted, you've controlled your food. When you're eating what you want, whenever you want, it's different. Do you know what I mean? I felt good at the weight mentally and physically. So, hopefully welterweight have some exciting nights ahead.
Fingers crossed. Is that one of the lessons that you learned from the previous fight? Because obviously you alluded to there saying that like you altered training camp and things like that. So do you think one of the things that you looked back on and thought at super welter, because you didn't really have to cut too much, you might have been a bit more relaxed, whereas going into it welterweight, you know that you've sacrificed a bit more, so maybe subconsciously
that was one. I was too big for the loss. I was just physically too big. I'm a boxer, not a bodybuilder. I'm not a weightlifter. I mean, my game is boxing. So we worked on a few things in the gym, and plus technique. I learned a lot of things. A lot of things that I wouldn't have ever learned. I wouldn't have ever bothered to learn if I'd won. Like I said, listen. If I could wave a magic wand and take the loss back, I would do it right now. I don't want a loss on my record, but undoubtedly it's taught me a very valuable lessons. But that's the sport in the world. That's the sport in life.
I remember we spoke recently after the previous fight, the one that obviously you've just won and we were talking about, and that first round what should have been a knockout. We were saying that can have, and I think you just mentioned that there yourself, that can have like quite a big impact on records and things. Because a knockout with somebody who goes the distance with a lot of prospects, it'll show that you're obviously in the mix with the other prospects, if not better. Obviously, it shows your punching power, etc. And I think when we were speaking, I don't really want to put the referee under the bus a bit, but you were saying that he was a bit inexperienced.
And definitely was inexperienced. You know, at the end of the day, if I'm a referee, I can't listen to you. I should be telling you, this is what happened. You shouldn't. I shouldn't go by what you said. You could say, "Oh, Inder's elbowed me. Inder's headbutt me." What did that mean? I headbutted you. For example, if me, you know what I'm saying? The referee should make his own decision. You can't be influenced by a fighter or the crowd or this or that. It's not how it's meant to be.
Yeah, because it was weird. Even when he was on the floor, I think he was trying to make the fighter. I think he was trying to make a case to your corner, saying, "Oh, it was back of the head." And I can see, you can watch the video back on YouTube for anybody who's listening. The full fight is on MTK's YouTube channel, and you can see your trainer is basically just having none of it. Like immediately is basically saying, "Nah, like he hasn't hit you behind the head. You're playing up here." And I think if you watch it a few times over, you can sort of tell that, but again, like you said, credit to the guy, his experience. He used his survival tactics and he got through the fight. He was extremely awkward though when I was watching it back. Like, I don't know what was going on. 1 minute he's flying his arm in the air to put you off.
What he does,
He's got like a really stiff leg. It looked like he had hip surgery just before he went in there. His like leg was that stiff. Is that not really off-putting for you when you're in there? Or do you just have to work around whatever's in front of you?
Definitely, and where I only had 4 rounds, it was, you know, you have to get it done ASAP. But like I said, it's another lesson I learned in my previous fight. At the end of the day, no matter what he does or what I do or what the next door neighbor does or what the fucking crowd does, I have a job to do, and that job shouldn't depend on anything other than me and him in the ring. I've done the hard work. So there should be no doubts physically. It's just turning up mentally. And like I said, you got to be prepared for whatever your opponent throws at you, whenever. Do you understand? Like, I can't say, like I said, listen, it makes a difference. Had he not been pouncing about for 4 rounds, I would have I might have stopped him, but I didn't. Do you know what I mean? I got to, whoever's in the ring, whatever they're doing, I got to work around it. That's what makes a good fighter. That's what makes a good fighter, is he can adapt ASAP to whatever's in front of him, and that's what I have to do. That's what I had to do.
100%, absolutely. It is obviously good having these sort of fights underneath your belt. Even the one previous with the head clash and obviously you breaking your nose, there was a bit of dirty tactics in there. Ironically, even this fighter, he was like claiming low blows and stuff, but I think he landed a few himself that you didn't really contest yourself. And I think he did a lot of rabbit punches as well. Like he was he used a professional tactics, shall I say.
That's right. And, listen, he had to do what he had to do to get the win. I have to do what I have to do, you know. I'm not the type to keep complaining. It's a fight, mate.
But do you think being in the ring with these guys and being on the receiving end of them dirty tactics, you learn to, 100%. I don't want to say implement them yourself, but like just learn to how to handle them and sort of maybe even pick it up in the future fights. Like if somebody does rabbit punch you or hit you on the belt, you can sort of take advantage of that situation like these guys have.
That's right. I mean, listen, he was I didn't realize this. You may or may not know this. So he claimed I hit him in the back of the head, and the referee said I hit him behind the head. Had he have not been able to continue, I would have been disqualified. No contest. I would have been disqualified. How mad is that? So I could have full well been disqualified in that fight. If he said I can't get up, I can't fight, that's it, disqualified.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it would be a no contest.
I didn't know that.
Because it was in the first round.
I didn't know. My coach told me. That's so mad. That's unbelievable to think could have been rightfully so disqualified. Well, not rightfully so, but according to my opponent, disqualified.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought because it was like, I know like in like 12-round fights and things, if there's a head clash early on, then they normally just do it no contest up to 4 rounds, I think it is.
Apparently, if it's like a intentional head back of the head, which is what he accused me of, it's disqualification.
Yeah, that's luckily he continued, to be fair. I think
yeah, exactly. I've got to thank him for that.
Yeah, he sort of didn't do you a favor by claiming it was back of the head, but did do you a favor by continuing at the same time.
That's right.
Talking about head clashes and things, obviously the fight previously we talked about you broken nose. Obviously that was in the last podcast as well. I assume obviously that was fully recovered. How was that going into this fight? Was there any difficulty breathing?
That's what I'm looking at now. It's not too bad, but yeah, it was all right, to be honest. I rested it well. It was all good. I didn't really feel it in the ring. Do you know what I mean? I didn't really feel like it affected me or my performance. Just you kind of forget about these things. You know what I mean? Because when you're in the ring, you're in the ring. You've got a job to do. So it was good. It wasn't a problem.
That's good. And as you mentioned before, that fight was meant to happen earlier, but you had a cancelled fight.
Yeah.
And we spoke beforehand that the fight was cancelled due to medical license.
Yeah. So what was it? I can't even remember.
I think it was like you need to have a medical every year. I think
you have to have a medical every year, but for some reason, I can't even remember what it was. I can't remember, but yeah, it was not a problem. It was just long. I had to just do something and get it filled out. And
because I didn't realize that myself when we were talking about it. I think you were basically saying that you needed your medical license updated, so you just had to do a few tests
every year. So every year you have to do your brain scan, eye test, and like a blood test. I can't remember what I had something which was. There was you can't until we don't get this, you have to redo it. And then I think it's because I broke my nose. I had to get report from the hospital and all these kind of things, and a signed report from the doctor to say that I'm fit to box, and it was just headache. Because before that, I was meant to box. This was kind of like the last minute. So it was like the Wednesday, and it was being contested whether they could pass it or not, and I was meant to box on a Friday.
Oh shit!
And so it was just crazy, and it was just I was just happy to fight and get it over and done with. You know what I mean?
So do all them tests go off to British Boxing Board of Control?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, obviously it is a good thing to make sure that everybody going in there safe.
Be safe. That's right. Yeah.
But it was just weird because like you hear about these things, but obviously until like you sort of it happens, as viewers and as fans of the sport, you're very far removed from the day-to-day activity, if that makes sense. So like
that's right. Yeah. You have no idea. I had no idea as an amateur. Do you know what I mean? Just once you're there yourself, you think, bloody hell, it's not as glitz and glamour as it looks on TV.
Definitely not. I seen a couple of days ago of Maxi Hughes. He's part of the MTK stable.
Oh yeah. He went to work the next day.
And he went to work. Yeah, he's back on the building site, and it's
that's right.
And this is the guy who's just won the IBO world title, I think, in the lightweight division, and then he's back on a building site the next day, and you're thinking, like, it's very far from glitz and glamour. It is like basically the ones who are at the top of the sport are obviously making a good living.
You know what I mean? But not everybody does.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about, to be fair. Coming on to your next fight. So obviously recently announced 23rd of October.
It was announced last night, yeah. So today I officially know. Well, it wasn't announced. I was told last night, like 10 o'clock. So I announced it today properly.
So is that going to be like on an MTK card? Can you tell
us anything? Yeah. So it'll be local, bit of normality. There'll be tickets available. So I'm looking forward to it. But like I said, I'm happy to fight, so I'm not complaining.
100%. Have you found out anything about opponent yet, or is that going to be?
No, nothing. Not at all. Nothing. I'm in the dark.
Is it still like, obviously for yourself, you're still working more so on yourself than the opponent? Because when you get to like a certain level,
definitely.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I'm boxing, you know, a set fighter who's got a title, so I need to adapt to him. You know, where I'm young and starting out in my career, my opponent could change 2 days before the fight. So it's more so get myself in shape, get myself fit, get as much sparring and different sparring, all that stuff as I can, and then go ahead with it.
When do you think that changes, just as in boxing in general? So like for yourself, when do you think that would change from focusing on yourself purely? Because I imagine even when you get to world level, you'll still be focusing on yourself,
Yeah,
but there will
definitely.
be an element of tailoring it to an opponent. Do you think it is at world level, or even?
I think no, it's not world. It's when you know you got who you're fighting, when you know you're fighting, um, not necessarily a title, but you know, if I know I'm boxing for an eliminator or for a title, or I'm boxing a guy who, like, it's mainly for eliminator. You know, I'm boxing this guy. This is what he does. This is what he doesn't do. Then it's like when you know this is your opponent. When you're not boxing a journeyman, you're boxing someone who's coming to win, and you know it's a 50-50 fight on paper or whatever. That's when you kind of got to focus on him a bit as well.
So it's more the profile of the fight. If it's like a big enough profile fight
That's
where
right. That's
your
right.
opponent's not going to change. Because
That's right.
I was thinking we're level, but you even get some like domestic fights that are of such a magnitude where
Definitely.
you
Like,
would
I mean,
have to
tomorrow,
tailor.
for example, I could box Conor Ben. He's not world level yet, but that'd be a massive fight. He's almost there.
Mm.
He's fringe world level. For just an example, I would have to focus on someone like Conor Ben. But that's just one massive example. There's loads of fighters, you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
you got to focus on them because you know, oh shit, I'm boxing this guy.
What are your thoughts on Conor Ben, just out of interest?
I think he was a very, very improved fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Very improved fighter. I think he didn't start off the greatest, but he's doing very well. He's got a lot of haters, got a lot of people doubting him, whatever. But there's no problem. He's doing him. I don't think he's ready for, like, he called out Adrian Broner or something. He's nowhere near ready for Adrian Broner, but he'll probably get £1,000,000 fighting him. So go for it. You know what I mean? Make a bit of noise, and if he loses, he'll learn. But he is a very good fighter. I think he has improved massively, but I don't think he's on that level yet. Like that level.
Do you think he's knocking on the door though of the world class? Because not just who did he fight before this last fight? He knocked him out in like one round.
Granada's was a recent fight. I can't remember the guy. I know it was, but I just completely
Yeah,
forgot.
because he was like a really high profile fighter as well, and they were
It's
saying,
timing, bro. He met him at the right time. You know,
yeah,
in the end of his career. Would he have beaten him like that 5 year ago or 4 year ago? I don't think so.
yeah, very true.
It's just all timing. Yeah, I mean, boxing is timing. It's all timing. It's like Floyd Mayweather and Canelo. I'm not saying Canelo would beat him now, but if Canelo was in his prime now, it would be a different fight. I'm not saying he'd win, but it'd be a different fight.
That's one of the more interesting fantasy like matchups of like recent times. If it was prime v prime, it would be very interesting to watch.
Very interesting. I mean, so it's all timing. It's all got to play it
100%.
smart.
I think they are taking the time with Conor Ben because I feel like
Oh,
he,
Ben.
yeah, I think they've openly said as well, like other than like some of the biggest names, as in like AJ, Dillian White,
Yeah.
etc. I think he does like ridiculously good numbers, as in like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for like a UK star. So he's like the next breakout sort of star, and
Yeah,
obviously the family name 100% is will be in his
plays a
favor in
part.
that. I really want to see. I really wanted to see. I don't know if they can make it now because I'm pretty sure Josh Kelly has left Matchroom, and I think he's just signed for Wasserman Boxing.
I heard it.
So
I'm not sure.
I only saw that
Um,
today, but
that's a very good fight. Yeah, that's a
that would be
very good
really
fight.
interesting. I'm
Very
surprised that Kelly left at Matchroom because for me he was always a really interesting fighter as well.
Yeah, boxing's a mad game, man. Sometimes you got to realize whoever offers you the most money at the end of the day, you got to kind of weigh up there. But money is very important in boxing, especially to these guys as well. You know, they're at that level where they don't want to fight for peanuts. They
Yeah.
want to fight for, rightfully so, for a lot of money. And Westman, I don't know the ins and outs. They might have offered him a lot of money. You know, go for it, mate.
Yeah, I think that they're it seems like they're having a bit of a rebuild like promotionally because they I'm pretty sure they signed a deal with the YouTuber KSI as well for like a boxing co-promotion thing. And we obviously did touch on this last time we spoke, but YouTube boxing and things have since progressed. So I think I'd be foolish not to get your thoughts on Jake Paul and his victory over Tyron Woodley. It looks like he might be fighting Tommy Fury next. What do you think of all of that side of boxing?
Honestly, all boxers hate it, but I think, you know what? If someone give me silly amount of money to fight a YouTuber, mate, I would do it tomorrow. And it's as simple as that. And 99% of fighters would. If anybody offered you silly money to fight a YouTuber, I don't care who he is, a fight, it's a fight. You can offer me good money, I'm taking it. Simple as that. You know, people saying, oh, they're ruining boxing, blah, blah, blah. You don't own boxing. I don't own boxing to say X, Y, and Z person is ruining it. That's my opinion. Doesn't mean it's ultimate. It's without my opinion, you know, he can't box or she can't box. That's up to them. If like I said, listen, it's their luck. They're making silly money to do these silly fights. Good luck to them. It's as simple as that, really, don't you think?
Well, you've just got me a TikTok clip there, so thank you very much for that. Any YouTubers who want to fight Inder Bassi,
any YouTuber, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, anybody else, KSI, mate, hit me up, bro. You don't have to give me millions. Give me $500,000. I'll take it, no problem.
Yeah, hit up Mr. Lee Eaton or MTK in general and get in touch.
Get the ball rolling.
Get the ball rolling. Yeah, it is fascinating to watch. To be fair, because I don't know if have you watched any of Jake's fights or anything? Because it does he does actually seem like he's taking this sport seriously. He can bang. He's got a bit of punching power. So it would be interesting to see Tommy Fury against him. Yeah, because it's like I think Tommy as well is in that sort of he's in that middle ground, isn't he? Because he's technically a reality star. He's from Love Island.
Just about to say that as well. Tommy Fury isn't a good fighter as himself. Like he's got a famous brother or cousin, whatever he is, and a famous fighting family, but it doesn't mean he's an excellent fighter himself. You know, he's a Love Island star, whatever, but he's not a soul in like a boxer like his brother or cousin Tyson. He can't talk. He's just Logan Paul, Jake Paul, but to a lesser extent, if that makes sense.
The UK version, basically,
UK
compared
version,
to the American version.
It's like me calling out another person because I'm trying to be like him and he's just doing it better than me. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I get you. I feel like that it obviously is like an entertainment industry, especially like boxing. It's all about entertainment and things, but
that's like, it. We're actors. We're not actors, but we're
entertainers.
Entertainers.
Where do you think it crosses the line though? Because recently we've seen Evander Holyfield at the age of, I don't know, 50 something.
57, I think.
And he obviously did that first round knockout from Vito Belfort. And it's obviously a thing that I think the entire boxing community came out and basically was like horrified that he was even allowed to fight, like he even got a license. It's not nice to see, especially because he is a legend. Is that sort of where the line is crossed in terms of entertainment and sport?
I think it's at the end of the day, bro, you know what it is? People are forgetting that. Sport aside, it is a free world, free country. You can do whatever you want. Provided you don't break a law, I can't stop you from doing anything. So, for example, if I feel a certain type of way about Evander Holyfield, or 10 million people feel a certain type of way, what can we do to stop him from doing a fight that he took took himself of his own accord? Nobody forced him. I get what people say, you know, oh, he shouldn't have done it, he shouldn't have done it, but he did, and he chose to, he wanted to do it. So, like, what can anybody say to him about not doing it?
In fairness, I think most people's gripe was more towards the commission, like to sanction it. I don't think, because I think
I'm
they
not
got
too
rejected.
sure on that, but a lot of them are like not proper boxing licenses. They're like unlicensed.
Yeah,
I'm not sure on that, but a lot of the time they do fight unlicensed, like as in unlicensed fighting.
Yeah, because I think that's why they had to change it to an exhibition. But I'm pretty sure they got like rejected from one commission and then basically went to like the next state and then got it from there. But it is just interesting to to talk about these things because boxing at the moment is just such a weird place. The last time we spoke, again, one of the bigger boxing talking points then was we were all getting really excited for the biggest heavyweight clash that was going to happen, and it was going to be Joshua versus Fury. Obviously,
Man,
we're sitting now in September, and it's all fallen through. They're fighting their own opponents respectively. What do you make of all that mess?
I honestly, as a fan, forget I'm a boxer. As a fan, it's annoying. You know, we want to see the best fight, the best heavyweight fight right now, as a fan. But as a boxer, I kind of understand. There's so much involved. You know, as a boxer, this is me speaking. There's so much involved. There's so many things that are involved, and they're on the pinnacle of the sport. So there's a million other things involved. So it's not always as easy. Like I said, if it was that easy, you know, we'd all be millionaires, we'd all be boxing big names and blah, 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 but it's not. So as a fan, it's frustrating, it's annoying. You know, that's the fight I want to see, it's a fight everybody want to see. But as a boxer, it's still annoying, but I can understand a bit more as to why it's not happening.
This is where like politics and things come into play, and it's the shit side of boxing that nobody really likes, especially like the fans, especially because we want to see the best face the best.
That's right.
And I think you just hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of things that obviously go on in the background that we won't know about. And honestly, even through a few conversations with yourself on the podcast and off the podcast, it sort of given me an inkling of an insight. Obviously, we haven't even touched on the majority of things that you probably go through on a day-to-day, but just the one or two things we have, it's given me a bit more insight.
If me and you're fighting for £1 million, we're both elite fighters in the world and blah, 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 I could put in a contract, oh, by the way, after the weigh-in, you can't be above a certain weight. People wouldn't know. The average person would not understand that, what it means. But that's a massive deal. So they could say, you know, we have to make 65 kilos weigh-in. Bearing in mind, we'd kill ourselves to make that weight. And the next day, normally we can get up to whatever we want. But I could say, oh, you know what, in the contract, after the fight, me and my opponent are not allowed to exceed 67. Just random examples. That could be a point of contestant. You know, you might not agree, I might not agree, or you agree and I don't agree, whatever. There's so many things involved.
Yeah, because I think that was something Floyd was very famous for doing.
That's right, yeah.
But back in the day. But I don't know if you probably won't remember this, but if anybody wants to go back and listen to obviously the original podcast when we were talking about this, I actually said then I would prefer Joshua to fight Usyk first, because I said that it would be good for him to face somebody with an extraordinarily high ring IQ.
Yeah.
And it would hold him in good stead for the Fury fight, because his get out of jail free card versus Usyk is his size and his power. But he can go in there and sort of test himself in like that chest match of a boxing match versus a very skilled opponent. And that would hold him in really good stead for the Fury fight, obviously, if both of them do get through. How do you see both of them fights going? Do you think it's a repeat for Fury and he'll just get through Wilder again? And how do you see the AJ and Usyk fight going?
I've actually got tickets for the AJ and Fury fight, AJ and Usyk fight. You know what? My heart says he's gonna knock him out. AJ's gonna knock him out. Simple as that. But a part of me does want to believe that Usyk is too elusive to get knocked out. But then that's not entirely the case, because in heavyweight boxing, size plays a massive, massive, massive factor in heavyweight boxing. And he's not a natural heavyweight, and Joshua is not a normal heavyweight. He's a super strong heavyweight. So like I said, I kind of hope that Usyk dances around and boxes him, but I kind of don't believe it. You know, I just think Joshua is really strong and he's not big enough to be a heavyweight. And in regards to Fury, I think it'll be a repeat. I don't know how, but I do think it'll be a repeat.
What about, because Wilder's obviously left his previous coaches after the towel was thrown in, and it seems like he's trying to become a better technical boxer. Do you think it's a tad too late? Do you think any of that makes a difference?
I think yes. I think that his technique ain't gonna change now. He's just gonna fight on heart, but I don't think he's got the heart in him. As
Yeah.
like, listen, everyone can give up, but I just feel like Tyson Fury's just done him once, done him twice, probably do him a third time now. Like it's just
Yeah. And I think the thing that doesn't bode well for Wilder is the excuses after that second fight. Like
exactly.
you're
So
sort of admitting defeat with the amount of excuses that you came out with, like
that's
the
right.
costume was too heavy, etc.
That's
But
exactly.
I agree with you with the Usyk point as well. As I don't feel like he is a natural heavyweight. Like he struggled versus Derek Chisora, and Chisora's quite a small, like not as in size wise, but in height he's quite small.
Right. And Anthony Joshua's got a hard bang. Do you know what I mean? It's not just he's weak. He's genuinely a really hard hitter. So how does and he's just physically so much bigger. I just
Yeah.
don't see it going a distance, if I'm honest.
Hopefully both of them come through and then we can see that mega fight next year, because that would be amazing. Fury said that he'll fight Wilder, sorry, then
Joshua, then Dylan White, and all that stuff. He meant it.
yeah, I think he's had his running order. I'll believe it when I see it. And I don't think we can go without touching on Canelo because he's just the biggest like draw in the sport, and he is one of them people who is actually just fighting the best, and he's going after this final belt. I think it was announced this week that he's fighting Caleb Plant in November.
Yeah, that'd be a good fight, you know. In spells, Canelo looks beatable, but he's just again so strong. Like I don't get it. He does look beatable though. Someone who's strong and hard and can take a punch and is willing to get caught. I feel like, but then again, he schooled Golovkin, so I don't really know. He's unbeatable maybe, but I don't know. I do. You know what we say about every time. You know, I thought Billy Joe Saunders could beat him until he just batters him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the manner of that defeat as well. And I don't know if we had British bias going into that, but I actually genuinely thought like Billy Joe could.
I thought we could. Technically, he's probably better.
Yeah.
But he just wasn't strong enough, and
I feel like the only thing with Canelo will be if he goes up too many weight divisions. Like, so if he does go against like your Baturbiyevs and Bivels and like heavyweight, he might stumble a bit more.
I don't think Bivol posed no threat after his last fight against Craig Richards. I don't think he poses a threat. Better Biv maybe, Caleb Plant maybe, but other than that, I don't think there's many people that beat him.
I haven't watched too much of Caleb Plant, but apparently, like I've heard a lot of people saying this could be like a real test for Canelo. So
very real test. Yeah, he's very strong.
I'm gonna have to watch some fights of Caleb Plant in that case. Is there any other fights that you're interested in or keeping your eyes out at the moment? Who do you normally follow?
Other than mine on the 23rd of October.
Yeah, other than yours.
I'm not really interested. Because I've got tickets for the Usyk fight. I'm thinking about not going because I can't be asked. It's just I'm trying to focus on my career. You know what I mean? As much as I can, learn, pick things up, and progress and go as far as I can.
Well, if you try to pick things up, that probably would be a good fight to pick a few things up from, and it might give you the motivation with the atmosphere as well. So
that's right. That's something that people overlook. You know, the atmosphere, and the buzz, and the motivation it gives you. It's not just a night out. It's what you make of it. And I normally go there and I get motivated. I feel motivated that this might be me one day.
Your past two fights have been both without crowds, haven't they? Yeah. So this obviously back on 23rd of October, you'll have crowds.
Crowds, yeah.
You'll be selling tickets as well. So hopefully we can get a lot of Inder Bassi support. I remember you saying on your debut you had your granddad and all of his friends were there, like the Sardars and things to cheer you on. So
I mean, I sold a few tickets, so it's nice. Yeah, I mean, it's nice.
100%. Well, yeah. Is there anything else that you want to touch upon before we wrap up?
No, I feel like we've pretty much touched on everything from farmers to my previous fight. Giving a good detailed conversation.
Yeah, no, it was a good catch up. To be fair, We'll probably have to do one after your next fight, and maybe all the way up until world champion.
To world champion, we'll have about 30 episodes by then.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm here for it. We normally would end on quick fire questions, but we already did that in the last one. So if anybody hasn't again watched that one, which is a bit more of the culture upbringing, how Inder got into boxing, and obviously them quick fire questions, then go ahead, listen to that one. As we said, we also did the Farmers Protest podcast, so listen to that one. It's still going on, so we still need to be proactive about things. And as we mentioned throughout this episode, Inder will be fighting on October 23rd. Tickets will probably be gone by the time this podcast comes out.
Nah, I haven't even received them yet, so hopefully they do fly out.
Hopefully they fly out. But I imagine it'll be available on MTK's YouTube channel, just like the last couple of fights. So be ready near a screen or a monitor on the 23rd of October, so we can all support. And yeah,
bro, always got time for you. Had a good conversation, but thank you, I appreciate it, man. Genuinely, like I said, we've never met each other, but you know, I have a lot of time and respect for you. A lot of time, bro.
I appreciate you giving up your time as well, because I know you're training in that, and so obviously busy schedule. Especially during wedding season now, that fucking every weekend there's like 10 weddings on since COVID's lockdown and uplifted. But yeah, I shall let you go because we're getting quite late. I know you need to rest and recover and all of that sports science and all of that stuff. So yeah, I'll catch everybody in the next episode.